Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're here with my really good friend Wendy and Livy, and we are here in Guadalajara. She's an American who lives out here, and she's going to sit down with us, and we're going to do an interview, and we're going to check out her house, and we're also going to do a little tour of her neighborhood of where she lives. So if you're ready for some fun, you already know what to do. Just sit back and hang out with us, and hope you enjoy the show. All right, guys, so now we're going to sit here with Wendy, a really good friend that's living out here in Guadalajara, and she's going to tell us all about herself. She's going to tell us, you know, where she's from in the USA and why she moved to Mexico and how she's liking it out here so far. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So Wendy, where are you from in the USA?
So I moved from Georgia, from Dahlonega, Georgia in last October. I moved out to Guadalajara October 15th of 2023. And it was actually an intentional move. It's something that I researched years ago, bought the books, how to move to Mexico, all those different things. And I have always wanted to move here. Now I'm here.
And so you mentioned to me earlier, you know, before we turned the camera on, that you're from Portland originally. Is that where you're from?
I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. Yes, actually from Oregon.
Yeah.
I was born in Central Oregon, and then I lived in Portland through my school years. And yeah, I moved back to Oregon in 2000, and I lived in Portland for a little while, and then I moved back to Central Oregon.
And you've been, you know, all over the West Coast. I mean, not just all over the U.S., but all over the West Coast as well, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you told me that you're pretty familiar with Mexico, right? You said because you used to go to San Diego and
actually, I lived in San Diego for 12 years, and I moved there in, let's see, when did I move there? In 1984, and I lived there for 12 years. I did leave for like 3 years during that time, and I worked at the Hotel del Coronado and put myself through school, and there's like 1,200 employees that work at the Hotel del, and over half of them were commuting from Mexico, and so I made a lot of friends that were living in Mexico and spent a lot of time in Mexico. We went to Tijuana quite a bit, Rosarito, and that area, Lobster Camp. There's an area down there that they have all these restaurants that serve lobster, super awesome. And spent a lot of time in Tijuana back in the day when it was okay to spend a lot of time in Tijuana. It was our playground, so we'd go to discotheques and shopping, and always took people down there when I had company from out of town.
And did you ever live in Baja, that area of Mexico before, or you just traveled there a lot?
Traveled there a lot. We went camping quite a bit down in the sand dunes. I had friends that had four-wheelers, and so we'd go down and four-wheel, and yeah, it was, like I said, it was our playground.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so eventually you decided to move out here to Guadalajara, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
eventually.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, because we're actually doing this live from Guadalajara,
Yeah.
for those that are tuning in right now. So what was your inspiration? What was your reasoning behind leaving the USA to begin with, and then coming out here to Guadalajara? Why did you pick Guadalajara?
Well, it's interesting because back when I researched it like 10 years ago, my intention was to come out and learn to speak Spanish fluently. I traveled a lot in Latin America and Mexico, and I was really good at hacking Spanish. I call it traveler Spanish, hacking Spanish. And I thought, well, I just want to learn it more formally at some point. And so I had researched a lot of schools and such, and Guadalajara just seemed like it would be a really great place to go ahead and go and do that. And I'd always thought about retiring in Mexico as well. So, and there were some different things behind that, just as far as cost of living and how far the dollar could go, and that's why I considered that. And I've always been a bit of a nomad anyway, not a digital nomad, but a traveling nomad. And so last summer I published a book in the year of 2021, and so then there were some conversations about publishing it in Spanish, and then ended up getting a publisher, and they're located here in Guadalajara. And at some point it made sense to come down here. It made sense to go ahead and move down here, and if I was going to do that, I wanted to go ahead and get my residency, because at some point it probably could be with that. Well, this is how I viewed it, without watching your channel, that it would be not necessarily within reach for me to be able to get it. So it was a good time. I could qualify, meet the certain parameters for getting the visa and resident visa. So, yeah.
So you got so did you get the visa, like, okay, so you got your temporary residency through a consulate?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So you were able to meet the requirements, right? And
Yes.
was it easy, or how did that work out?
It was really super easy for me. I mean,
What
there was
consulate did you go to? Because a lot of people want to know.
Atlanta.
Okay.
And so it was just really pretty much cut and dry. I watched a lot of videos ahead of time about how to get residency and going through the process. And so I just went ahead and the most difficult part of it was getting an appointment. And so I learned how to do that. If you want to get an appointment at the Atlanta consulate, it's best to go online on Fridays and just keep trying on that Friday, because they don't offer a lot of appointments. And so if you just go on a Friday and then keep at it until you secure an appointment, it's pretty easy. And then I just had all my paperwork together. I had 12 months worth of my statements, and went in and did the interview, and they just were really cut and dry. You had to meet the financial requirements, and there was really nothing else that they were concerned about.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a real easy process.
So you were mentioning that you're a nomad, right? Or you live more of a nomadic lifestyle.
I've lived in a lot of places.
Yeah, you live more of a nomadic lifestyle, and I can see why, because you're a writer. That's what you do for a living, right? Correct?
Actually, not in my early years. No,
Okay.
That was just as of the last. Let's see. I started writing the book that's published now. I started writing that in 2017, and so yeah, that was a new thing. My mom said, "You've got a book in there. You're going to write a book one day," and it was just like, all right. But then when it happened, it happened. No, but before, wasn't doing writing.
Okay.
I was in accounting for quite a lot of years, and I did counseling as well and some other things. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. By the way, I mean, would it be okay if we share your book? Not now, but like, we maybe share like a link down below to where people can find out more about that stuff?
Yeah, that would be okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. The Spanish version will be better, but it's my first published book. But working on the Spanish version with the editors and stuff like that, it's just, I feel like it's going to be a better book.
Okay.
The Spanish language it has so many nuances to it, and there's so many layers to it. I just think it makes for a richer story. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the language has like more of a character to it, right?
It does, because even with verbs, I'm learning Spanish right now, and there's the imperfect, and I learned that the imperfect is what they use to storytell, and it just adds different layers, and so I think it's going to be a much better book in Spanish.
So as you were mentioning, the reason you moved out here to Guadalajara was so you can work on your book with the publisher.
Yes.
So that's really cool. The fact that, so you basically, in a sense, got yourself a job out here in Mexico, right? Because the publisher said, hey, it'd be nice to have you right close by to work on the book, or how did that work, or how was that?
So working on the book with the publisher, and it's more of like what I feel I'm here to do. So I'm retired, but as far as it being a job or a paying job, no, it's not that. But yes, it's a project that I'm working on, and there's like-minded people here that the publisher wanted to introduce me to that are also working on similar projects. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So, so since you've been out here in Guadalajara, by the way, how long have you been here? You said since October?
6 months on the 15th of
6
this
months
month.
on the 15th. Yeah. And so how do you like it out here so far? How do you love Guadalajara?
I love Guadalajara now. Initially, I got here, and 5 days after arriving, I had an accident. I fell down some stairs. I broke my ankle, broke my wrist, ended up in the hospital, had to have surgery. And so my first 8 weeks, 10 weeks here were actually spent non-weight bearing, couldn't walk, couldn't, do any of that. interesting. Fortunately, I had a really good friend that I've known for about 10 years that is from Guadalajara. She had moved back. She lived in the States for many years, a couple decades, I think. She moved back and she was living here again. So fortunately, she was here. She helped me. Her family helped me. Her brother happens to be a doctor. And so he oversaw everything. And then within a lot happened. So within the first 2 weeks of being here, I had to close my eyes to think. I had the accident. I got my residency, went to immigration, got my residency, asked the surgeon, okay, we got to do emergency surgery, but I really like to make my immigration appointment on Thursday.
Wow. Yeah.
So can I? And he's like, okay, yeah. And got a place to rent. So from October 15th to November 1st, there was the accident, had my immigration, got my immigration card, and then also moving into an apartment, non-weight bearing, and
So basically, the first few weeks, the first couple months, was pretty hectic, pretty overwhelming, pretty crazy. But still, that wasn't necessarily why you. Okay, so you were mentioning that you didn't like Guadalajara, but it wasn't that. It was just the fact that you were dealing with all this stuff.
I didn't know Guadalajara.
Right. But at the end of the day, after you went through all that, as you were going through it, obviously it was very painful, very difficult. You had to go through, not just the surgeries, but rehab, everything, right? But how were the people? How did they treat you? How was, how did that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a painful process. I would say that it was, it was just, it was just a lot. I really don't even think I could define it, because you move to a new country, you bring your dog, you have an accident, and I'm learning the language, and so I'm not a fluent speaker yet, and it's just learning I wasn't even learning anything, it was just navigating that all, and it was just a lot. And so it wasn't painful, it wasn't anything other than just day by day getting through it. And it was, what's next and to contend with. And I'm just kind of that kind of person. I'm that type of person anyway. Things happening, it's not the end of the world, it's just like, do what's next. Probably the most traumatic thing was they couldn't catch my dog, and so because she was all worried about me in hiding, and she's little, so they threw a blanket on her, bundled her up, and threw her in the car with me. And that was probably the most stressful part of it, because I just wanted to make sure she was okay, but it was only just her and I. So after the accident, we were talking about how, at one point that kind of like how we equally or kind of share the belief that things happen for a reason. Mine kind of goes a step further, if there's a gift in every situation. So I'm in this new apartment and I really can't do anything. Fortunately I had help. And so because I had to sit still so long, I really had an opportunity to take a look at what's going on, where I came from, and what was happening in my life and the struggles I was having before I came. Because again, the move wasn't just because of the book. It was also because things have become difficult, for me in the States. I couldn't figure out why, and it wasn't just me, it was friends as well, and, why people were struggling so much, why the mental health issues and crises that's there. If anyone wants to deny it that or not agree with it, that's fine, but you can go onto social media, you can pick up a People magazine, you can pick up a newspaper. The amount of suicides in the United States right now is it's a crescendo, especially, in certain generations and age groups. The amount of stress that people are experiencing, friends and family that I know, and the amount of stress and difficulties that they were having, including myself, it's just kind of like, it felt like we were all just trying to survive, at some level, on an emotional, mental health level. And because of me, I know how I am, I'm just so self-introspective in that, I always look back at myself first and, what's going on with me? Why are things so difficult? What's going on? And I never really could quite understand it, and I never quite understood it. And people, relationships, just in general, could be difficult. And again, now I see it's because everyone was just struggling. But during that time when I was parked on my couch for a couple months plus, I just kind of looked back into the U.S. and I could see, from not being there, I could see a new perspective, and the perspective was just the conditions in which everyone's living there. It's just, I don't know, it's like this big cloud over the United States right now, and that everybody's just, like, I grew up in Oregon, okay? One time, we didn't have the sun, I'm not kidding, for 6 months. We didn't see the sun for 6 months, okay? And at the time, it's just, whatever, you just live. If you wanted to play outside, you had to play in the rain. I mean, that's just how things were. So we spent like 6 months without the sun, and it has an impact, and you hear about SAD and seasonal affective disorder, and there's a whole lot of that there. And anyway, so it's kind of like that, and how I could see it. It's just kind of like there's just this big cloud hanging over it. People aren't getting what they need. There's just a whole lot of fear. It's trapped within that bubble, and it impacts everyone. But the thing is it's really difficult to see it until you're out of it. And for me, sorry, I'm feeling emotion. It's sad because it's hard to see, it's hard to identify. It would be hard to admit it. It would be hard to necessarily accept as truth. And of course, it's not everybody's truth, but I know a lot of people that are struggling. And so I just was able to really see what was going on. The minute I flew into Guadalajara, it's just like I felt like I could breathe. I felt like whatever had a hold of me, what didn't have a hold of me. And of course it was my own situation, and as far as like when I say something having a hold on me, it just means that, living in the circumstances that I was, and it wasn't an environment that I could thrive in. And so in coming here, it's just, again, I felt like I could breathe. I felt like there just wasn't that level of stress happening to everybody, and I never felt like people were doing things to me, but because of the conditions, it's just like everyone's just on, like, in this reactionary fight or flight, or just trying to survive what's going on. And I even myself, I look at it and I really can be hard on myself, and I just wonder, why am I having the struggles too? Why am I acting this way? Why am I reactive to things? And I understand now. It's hard to live there and not be, because I read something the other day, a comment on a YouTube video, and the person said, I mostly just stay at home now because I don't want to subject myself to going out and people reacting and being upset and all of those things. And then in turn, it's just automatically, it's like this PTSD reaction and trying not to react yourself. So I was able to look at everything and really get a clear idea of why this is so much more beneficial for me. And right now, with the way things are there, it's just, I can't be there. It's just, my mental health is much better here.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. I mean, I made a video on exactly this topic not too long ago on the channel, talking about, how my mental health has definitely improved since I've been here. Mm-hmm. And, for the longest time, again, I was constantly struggling with that and then so many issues, things that you were talking about. And I'm sure everyone in the audience, it's in the US, they know the toxicity of what it is to live out there in that polluted environment, and it's just that everyone, as you said, is just at each other's throats. They're just trying to survive. It's not because they're bad people or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's just again, it's a survival thing more than anything else. And then you come out here to a country like Mexico. You know, you're in Guadalajara. I'm in Merida. You know, we got other YouTubers and other people living all over Mexico, and it's just all of a sudden like, you know, people are, you know, sure, they're struggling with, you know, just regular everyday things. You know, it doesn't matter whether, you know, the income level situation, whatever it is. You know, it's just normal struggles. But at the end of the day, everyone usually always has a smile on their face. Everyone is able to deal with their struggles. Everyone is able to help other people out, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. And again, as you were saying, is, you know, you're feeling emotional about it because it's sad that our own country, you know, isn't like that anymore. It used to be like that, and now it's not like that at all. And now all of a sudden you come out here to Mexico, is right next door, just the next door neighbor, and you see how hospitable people are, how nice people are, how helping they are for whatever the reason is. But it's just everyone, they're in it together. Sure, they're all struggling out here too, but it's just different. Everyone's here more to like help each other out, right? And you know, just make their lives better, you know, and or whatever it is. And so, like, for example, with what happened with you, with your accident. No, it's okay. But like with what happened with you, it was very eye-opening to see how many people helped you out. Not just your friends, but like where you're living right now. You know what I mean? Like literally where you're living right now, you're the landlord here. I mean, I met them. You know, they're super nice, they're super great, and they helped you out. I mean, think about it. In the USA, nobody would rent, you know, to somebody that's, you know, basically bedridden. You know, because, you know, you were, you know, you could even, you know, walk around on crutches. You could barely do anything. And not only were they willing to, you know, rent to you, but they helped you out, you know, along the way.
Willing to rent to me because, we had an interview here. And then when I showed up to sign the papers, I'm all broken in casts and everything else. I'm sorry I'm emotional.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just totally fine.
It's just, it's a rough situation back home. I might have to go get some clean.
Here, I got my, it's clean, I promise.
It's not what I expected. Sorry, I didn't know. It's just, I wish things, you know, could be easier back in the States right now, for people. And, you know, like I said, there's so many people suffering. And here, people struggle, you know, with the money or whatever, but it's not the same. It's not the same because, people have issues here and stuff, but there's just a mentality, there's, you know, a way of living life here. I mean, the people here, they're happy people. It's like they're grateful for life. They're grateful for, you know, what they have. And I mean, there's all kinds of circumstances here. But in general, it's just the way that they experience things, the way that they handle things is different. And I don't think it's because, you know, anyone's better or worse, you know, Americans are worse or Mexicans are better. It's just the level of stress that they're not experiencing here is, you know, you've talked about it, you know, the freedoms. There's just an amount of the freedom that you have here versus what's happening there. And, you know, I don't get in trouble for anything. I don't get pulled over. I don't get, you know, any of those things in the States.
Sorry guys, we had to cut there real quick. Issue with the camera. But look, at the end of the day, what you were getting at is just the fact that, you know, unfortunately, the land of the free, the USA, is not so free anymore, and there's so many levels to that. Even someone like you feel safe. You know, you feel. You feel like, not like how I feel in the USA. You know, I feel more unsafe than you might feel in the USA. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's like all these freedoms that are just taken away from you, and you don't even know they're taken away from you until you move to another country and you see, you know, people that are truly free. And a lot of it is hard to describe until you're out of there. Like you were saying, you have to look from the outside in.
It's definitely hard to describe when you're in it. You can't describe it or see it when you're in it. I would say from looking on the outside, you know, in and talking about freedom and those things, it's like here, you know, you speak about it. You're not so governed. You're not so, watched over and told what to do, and have all these benchmarks to meet. The people pretty much are free to live their lives. If they want something changed, they come together and change it. They don't sit back and expect the government to do it. And people are just really proactive about creating the life in the way that they want to live it here. Guadalajara is like the most wealthiest city I've ever lived in. The amount of wealth here is mind-boggling. It's so shocking. I'm like, I'm not in their league, but fortunately, Mexico's affordable, so I can live here. But this city is nothing like I expected. I tell people frequently, I just say, it's Guadalajara is not a city in Mexico. Guadalajara is a completely different country, right in the middle of Mexico, or not exactly in the middle, but close enough. I've been to Mexico many times. I've traveled a lot. I spent a lot of time in Baja. I spent a lot of time over Mexico City. Been to Teotihuacan like 3 different times.
To the Yucatan.
Yeah, to the Yucatan. I dive. I spent time out for my 50th birthday in Tulum. I dove all the cenote caves and did all the scuba diving, and so I've spent quite a bit of time, off and on in Mexico, and so I know Mexico well. And I think part of my perspective was from living in San Diego, and I was around Tijuana and that part of Mexico so much, and it's a fantastic, vibrant part of Mexico. It's gritty, it's fun, it's whatever. This was in the 80s, and so. And then as far as Yucatan and Mexico City and all those things, they have their own special uniqueness as well. But all those things, for me, added up as Mexico. But when I got to Guadalajara, it was like, wow.
There's a question I wanted to ask you because, we were just talking about it right now. So do you consider yourself an expat or an immigrant?
I love that topic because it's really a hot topic on YouTube right now with the people doing, content like yours. I personally consider myself an immigrant. And so there's a couple of reasons for it. First of all, through my whole life, I've known several people, like families and stuff, that are quote unquote expats. And I associate that with like people who are working in other countries and they take their families with them, and, that are living this life of not living within their country. It could even, mostly just people working outside of the country. And then I've never really saw myself in that particular line of what I was, planning to do. But the reason why I really landed on immigrant is because I have some friends in the States. One is from Guatemala, and then another guy was with him, and he's from Oaxaca. And I told them that I was moving to Mexico, and they were just really surprised, and they were so excited. And the guy from Oaxaca is like, oh my gosh, and they have the best food there, and this is all in Spanish, of course. And anyway, but then they're like, really, you're moving to Mexico? And I said, yeah. And they got this real kind of thoughtful, meaningful look, both of them. And they paused, and then they said, well, you're going to be an immigrant like us. And it was like, wow, okay, yeah, because coming here and being able to get my temporary visa, something that can turn into a permanent resident, and all of that, just depending on what happens, it's meaningful to me. I don't take it for granted. I'm really happy that I can have the opportunity, and it just was meaningful to me when they said that as well, because it was like, yeah, we're on the same path. It's not a green card, but they said you'll get a green, all these different conversations we had. But yeah, it's meaningful to me, and it's not taken for granted. And I think that,
because
that's why I choose immigrant instead of expat. I don't really relate to the whole expat thing anyway. I don't understand it. It's like, because I'm coming to choose to live here and be a part of this culture and community, and I don't understand even the debate. It's like, call yourself what you want. So I don't know what the big,
So, I mean, from my understanding, back in the day, expat, again, what it means is expatriate, so, again, being an American, right? You're a patriot, so, you're an expatriate. So it was more kind of like, people that, back in the day, let's say you were in the Vietnam War and you left, the USA, you fought in the war and then you came back to the USA and you didn't like it. And so you're like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to go back to Vietnam and live out there with my Vietnamese wife and, I'm an expatriate. So it was like that kind of connotation. And that's the way I always looked at it until I actually moved to Mexico. And then I started, encountering a lot of other expats, while I was living here, and I saw what other people, when they called themselves an expat, a lot of them, not everybody, but a lot of them, they were basically kind of separating themselves, from other immigrants. And they didn't want to be considered an immigrant. And so, they don't even want that. That was like a dirty word to them. But for me, I always felt like an immigrant, same as you. Mm-hmm. And I always call myself an immigrant here. I'm a foreigner, and that's the way it is. And so, when I say I'm expat or I say the word expat, it's really just kind of, to talk to other expats about it. But when I'm talking to my Mexican friends or whatever, the last thing I say is like, oh, I'm an expat, because, that's, even they kind of look down on Americans or Canadians or whoever that call themselves an expat, because they can quickly realize like, oh, wait a minute, this guy's separating themselves from even being an immigrant. Okay, guys, sorry about that. She actually had to go take out the garbage and she had to bring out her little pal here. Tell us who do we have here?
This is Miss Livy, and she made the move with me. She made the her first flight ever to come out. My friend kindly used his miles to get us a first class plane ticket, so she could have lots of comfort up front. So that worked out, yeah. Yes, and then for those who don't know, in Mexico we don't have a set day for garbage. So they ring a bell and you quickly gather your stuff to get it out to the garbage. We don't leave it on the street because then it gets torn up by the birds and the dogs and so.
Okay, so in the Yucatan we leave it out on the street. It does get torn up by yeah. Okay.
So when the garbage comes, it's an ordeal.
Okay. That's why it's so much cleaner here, I think.
Basura. Yeah.
No, but that's cool. And then out here it's different. Over there in the Yucatan, they scream basura, basurero, and then here they have a little bell, like a cowbell.
We all scream basura. Like I yell it upstairs, they yell it down to me, so we all can get our garbage out. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about the safety issue here in Mexico and in Guadalajara.
The safety issue.
Yeah, because we were talking about that earlier, and again, you're a single woman living out here in Mexico. I have a lot of viewers that are single women that live out here in Mexico. that want to move to Mexico, and that's like the number one issue. Like, hey, how safe is it for a single woman? Now, again, you've been all over Mexico, and now you're living out here in Guadalajara. So how safe do you feel out here? How is the safety issue out here in Mexico for a single woman?
Yeah, well, we can kind of link that also with, the cost of what, housing was for me and stuff here, just because they tie in.
Okay.
Because when I got in my accident, broke my ankle, broke my wrist, all those different things, my initial intent wasn't to live where I'm living. It was to live somewhere, there's colonias here, and then there's the barrios, and my family are ranchers and loggers initially, and I do a lot of camping and all different kinds of things, so I would consider myself more of a barrio girl. But I really needed to be somewhere where I didn't have to be concerned about what was going, the environment, because I didn't have the ability to be able to move out about and do things and, have a good sense of what the neighborhood and such was like, what the predicament I was in. So I'm living in Providencia, Colomas, Providencia, and it's a great area. I love it. It's not what I would have chosen, but it's a great area as far as safety goes. Basically, there's like little to no concern where I'm at. It's a really nice area. I will say it's a privileged area. As a result of that, rent is more, but it's a beautiful, beautiful area. I just through being here, I've just kind of learned I take Uber a lot. Not so much I walk now, but initially when after having the accident, I took Uber a lot. And I feel more comfortable not taking it at night alone, just myself. And so I think that's one thing that I look at as far as if you were talking about safety. I just think that's better not to. And then walking at night alone, forget it. Partially because where I live, nobody's out, and so it would just be like I'm the only person on the street. But other than that, I've never been afraid of Mexico. I've never been concerned about Mexico as far as I've never had any fear. I've traveled to other Latin American countries where I did have issues, and so I've never ever had an issue in Mexico in that way. And I think that, that it's not that there's not issues here, but the news is just shocking in the U.S., the news about how horrible it is and all the horrible things that are happening. And I told you once, Jose, that family gets worried and people say all these things and this and that, and when I just need to drown it out, I just turn on one of your videos and it's like, yeah, I know this is the reality, but I need to get the noise out of my head of everybody else's fears and worries. So
yeah, no, and I totally get it. There are valid concerns, and it's a little sketch, right? To walk around when there's not many people around or anybody around, and it's dark and all these things, right at night. Not during the day. During the day,
yeah.
No issues at all.
No.
But what I was going to mention is like I'm staying in Zapopan, in that neighborhood, and I live right by an area that was like a big kind of like long park type thing. You guys have seen it in the videos, or will see it in the videos that I'm going to show you guys about out here in Guadalajara. But anyways. It's very safe. Like I see people walking around, with their families, with their kids, single women, with groups of women, groups of people, and it's just it's so such a safe vibe. Very yeah. And again, some might even say, like you said, privilege. Like it's a lot of money, there's a lot of wealth here. So again, with that said, living in a city that is known, again, to Mexicans, and once you're here, you see it, that is wealthy. There's money here.
It's unbelievable.
It's expensive, but how expensive is it for you?
Right. So the place I have here, I pay 18,500 pesos a month, which was like around $1,000 when I first came. But with the peso, it goes, like 1,200. It can go up to 1,200. And then, but what's great is that was more than I anticipated. Renting for sure before I came out. I was very surprised about the cost of living in Guadalajara, and there are other options, but I didn't really have the opportunity, like I said, to explore that. But as far as the utilities go, it's dirt cheap. Like I got my utility bill today for the electric, and for 2 months it was 157 pesos for 2 months, which is like $6 something dollars.
Less than
$10. No. So if it's 157 pesos, that's like $9 for 2 months. And then my water is about 150 pesos for a month, which is $9. So the cost, and the nice thing about Guadalajara is that.
What about food?
Food is not inexpensive here, especially if you go to the grocery stores. If you go to the markets like Mercado de Abastos or Mercado Santa Torre, or go to the different markets, it's definitely a lot more affordable. But the grocery stores, we can pause it if you want.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you can put it on your.
Come here, Libby. Why don't you just come, honey? As far as the grocery stores, I think Soriana's and those. Yeah, they're not really any different price-wise than where I came from when I was living in Georgia. But definitely the Mercados, it's much more affordable.
Okay, so it's the same thing I say to, about even Merida or other places. It's basically, it's like, the more you want to go to the grocery store, to Costco, to Walmart, well, you're going to see similar prices, to what you're paying in the U.S. I mean, I'm sure it's a little cheaper, but, about the same. But when you're going to, the fact that they have open markets here all over the place, open mercados all over the place, you can get basically, food that's extremely cheap. I mean, I was surprised. I mean, I've been here and I was surprised, how inexpensive things were at the mercado and even at restaurants. I've been to plenty of restaurants, and at least compared to Merida, it's a lot more inexpensive here. It's a lot cheaper here than it is in Merida.
I don't have anything to compare it to right now. Other than when I traveled. But
because a lot of people are, constantly saying about how Merida is really expensive, especially restaurants and all this sort of stuff. And then, being out here, it's like, we just got a personal pizza the other day, multiple personal pizzas. But anyways, a personal pizza was like $3, US dollars, $4 US. It's like, that's very inexpensive.
No, it's it's very affordable here.
Yeah. So for me, so far, I'm surprised. I'm spending a lot less than what I thought. But you live here. That's a big difference. And so at least when it comes to utilities, it's very inexpensive. When it comes to rent, the same place that you live in Merida is 30,000 pesos, give or take. Okay, you're renting it for 18.5. And again, there's a lot cheaper options, I'm sure.
Yes.
So long story short, it's still affordable. When it comes to cost of living, it's not blown out of proportion.
Very affordable. I will say, when I moved here, my mindset was definitely, I thought it would be a lot less, but then I also didn't think I was moving to like one of the most wealthiest cities I've ever been to.
And then look, again, things have definitely changed. I've been here 6 years, and they were a lot cheaper 6 years ago than they are today. But again, at the end of the day,
it's very affordable.
Yeah, it's very, and again, it's not even. Again, if you're moving out here just to save a few bucks, then don't move out here. You're moving out here for the quality of life. For all the things that we talked about. Everybody has their reason, but really, it's just because you want a different way of life. The Mexican way of life, right?
Yeah.
And so, with all that being said, Wendy, I really, really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you wanting to interview and talk to the audience about your experiences out here so far. And it's wow, it's very eye opening as well. And I really appreciate you wanting to share about your life and your experience out here, your time, and all that good stuff. So, any final words? You want to say anything else? Or?
What I would just say is that I'm beyond thrilled with my move. I wouldn't change anything. I don't have any regrets, and it was definitely the best move for me. And it might not be for everybody, but it's for me.
All right, guys. So let's do the tour of the house. All right, let's show us what you got here.
Vamos.
Wow. Okay. So I'm guessing the house is empty. You just moved in, right?
I just moved in. I don't have many things.
Hey,
come here.
she's a little camera shy. So again, guys, we apologize for.
She likes all the attention.
Yes. We apologize for if it's a little dark or any echoes. But again, you just moved in. That's why it's so echoey, right? There's no furniture, no nothing.
There's hardly anything here. So yes.
Okay, so this is the walk-in, right? There's just a little living room.
Yes.
Okay, and then right off the bat, there's the front door, and then we're gonna check the office out.
This is the office area.
This is where you do all the magic, right?
See?
Interesting. Nice. And you got a little nice view of outside there. Awesome. Okay.
There's a guest half bath.
Okay. So we got a half bathroom here. And then we have, hey, what's over here? Nothing?
That goes up to the garage area.
Okay, so we got a garage. And then we got a kitchen.
I live on the lower level of a duplex.
Okay.
And the owners of the house duplex live upstairs.
Nice.
This is the kitchen.
So you live in the downstairs, and then this is a nice kitchen.
Yes. It's big.
Nice kitchen.
Lots of storage.
Wow.
And there's a patio off the kitchen.
Nice. We'll go on. Well, whatever. We're just checking out through here.
Right, where people where you can put a table if you want to eat, and there's a pass-through with the window.
Oh, wow. Look at that. You get the sky. It is nice. I love your house, by the way. So how much you pay here at this place?
18,500 pesos.
18,500 pesos, and you live in literally one of the fanciest neighborhoods in all of Guadalajara, right?
I live in Providencia.
Okay. So check out the nice little furniture.
Yeah.
And the nice little another area.
You get some light fixtures still and different things. But yes, no, it's a great area. And the great thing about Guadalajara is the utilities are super inexpensive.
Awesome.
Because
you
don't use air or heat.
Yeah, that's right. No air conditioning, so you can just save on that.
But even
18.5, you know, for this monster place is really good. So you got another room. So that's his room number 2.
This is where Libby sunbathes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looks out over the patio. You can go ahead and go in and look. There's a closet.
Okay, so this room has its own closet. Wow. Closet and bathroom. Huge bathroom. No, sorry, huge closet. And that's me. Hey. Look at that. So it's a full bathroom.
Yes.
Nice. And look, also like a skylight, right?
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
So if you look on the online sites and apps only, the prices are going to be a lot more than if you get a realtor. But this is a really good price, to be honest.
Yeah. Like in Merida, you're paying more for something like this, I feel.
Yeah, this is an exceptional.
So this is your bedroom?
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
Wow.
it has a patio with a small garden.
There's a pretty big bathroom here. I mean, sorry, it's a pretty big bedroom.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me check the bathroom since I'm already here.
The closet.
Oh, closet and a bathroom. Another closet. Wow. With another skylight. And look. Oh, wow. Bathtub. Score. Jacuzzi bathtub. Wow. Look at this. Very nice. And again, regular sink, regular toilet, and shower. Okay, so it's again super full bathroom. Wow, very nice. Okay, and now let's go outside. I love the outside, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I walk here?
Yeah, of course. It's perfect.
There's the water here in case anyone's interested. So here you need a bigger water heater since it's cooler, right? So you need your hot water.
Only used it maybe 6-7 times during the winter, and they have.
Well, so you like cold showers, huh?
No.
No.
No, I only had to turn it on that many times because we have solar powered.
Heater.
Heater for the water.
Oh wow. Okay.
And when it's hot, it boils.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge. Look at this.
It's all solar powered. I pay. Let's see that.
Can we check this other room with a? Right here?
Yeah, we'll go inside. This door's locked.
Well, okay. Well, we can just.
I can unlock it and bring you in that way. Okay.
Oh no, we can just go around. We'll go around through here. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay. Then over here, again, this is the another, outside, right? Another door to go outside. Yeah. And then here we have the laundry room. You got the nice. You got your, just normal washer dryer, and then this is the Mexican style washer dryer. Wash it, and then you just wash it here, and then you just hang it there.
Yes.
Awesome. Nice little closet space and everything. Wow, this is great. This is awesome.
It's a great house.
Beautiful. All right. It's so dark.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry. Well, yeah, I mean, this house is huge. It's pretty big. Look at this.
It's giant.
Yes.
I would have chose something smaller for myself. But, as I told you earlier, when I first got here, I was in an accident, broke my ankle.
Yeah, and this is why.
My wrist,
and so like the landlords live up there.
Yeah.
Right, and so
And so this worked out well because there's not a lot of stairs for me to have to.
Yeah. It's all flat. For the most part. I mean, this is it, guys. This is the house. I hope you guys enjoyed the little house tour. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video so far. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview that we did. And we're now going to go on ahead and take a little walk around the neighborhood. So, you ready?
See.
Awesome. Let's go.
Great. Take on the sweater. Oh, go back.
Okay, guys. So I'm going to do a little of my world famous voiceover as we walk around the neighborhood in which Wendy lives. So this is a very high-end community, very high-end neighborhood. As you guys are going to see in future videos, as we traveled all around Guadalajara, that there's all kinds of neighborhoods and, of all kinds of income levels as well. But in this particular area where she happens to live, it is extremely, well, seems pretty wealthy to me. But I'm going to tell you right now, we've seen some neighborhoods that are even wealthier than here. But this is a very, very nice neighborhood in particular. The neighborhood is Colomnos Providencia, I think is what it's called. But it is in the area of Zapopan. Zapopan is a borough, a neighborhood. Basically, it's almost like its own city that is adjacent to Guadalajara. If you look at the map itself and you just type in Zapopan, you're going to see how big of an area it is, right next to Guadalajara. Eventually, as the city grew, the area of Zapopan grew, the area of Guadalajara grew. Basically, it all became one giant entity. So a lot of people, will basically say that they live in Guadalajara, but they could be living in an area like Zapopan or Tlaquepaque or Tonalá or, the various other neighborhoods that are basically like their own cities within the city or the metropolis area of Guadalajara. I don't know the exact population of Guadalajara, but I do know that it is over 5 million people. And it's not just the area of Guadalajara, but it's areas like this that you're looking at right now. It might be more than 5 million. I think it all really just depends on what numbers you're looking at or what figures you're looking at or what have you. One of the things that I love so much about Mexico is the fact that you see, vendors like this fruit vendor that are just posted up all over the place. It really doesn't matter what the income level of the neighborhood is. You're going to find people like him or, women or whatever, just individuals that are not just selling fruits, but they're selling vegetables. They might have little fruit and vegetable stands. They might be selling fresh fruit like that guy's selling. They might be selling tacos or sandwiches or tamales or whatever. But the point is that in an area like this, you're going to see that it's not like the neighborhood I live in Mérida, where you're going to have the little corner store, or even the neighborhood in which I'm staying at the moment, which is not, it's like basically 30 minutes walk from here, a little north. Or like a 10-minute car ride through the city just to get to the place that we were staying in the Airbnb. And in that area where we were staying in the Airbnb, they have a lot more of, the little corner stores that I'm always talking about and love. And, the fact that you can just walk out of your house and you got everything you need within walking distance. But in this neighborhood, it is, a much more expensive neighborhood where you're not going to just see these businesses being run out of people's homes for obvious reasons. But regardless, you're going to see small businesses that are all over the place, like that guy selling fruit or, other vendors selling all kinds of things. At the end of the day, that's part of that freedom that I always talk about and I love about living out here in Mexico. Because back home in the USA, it's very, very difficult to find anything like that in a fancy neighborhood. Basically, if you are in a wealthier neighborhood, you're definitely not going to be seeing any kind of random vendors selling any kind of anything. In fact, you probably won't even be able to put up a lemonade stand, especially if you live in an area that has an HOA or something similar to that. But out here, it's couldn't be any further from the truth. In fact, out here it's just a different way of life, a different pace of life. You can sit back and literally smell the flowers as you're watching me do. Not just here, but you're gonna see me doing that multiple times as we're taking our walk. Whether it's some lavender or some, other flowers that they have, all around here that I do not know the names of. But as you guys can also see, something that I get asked a lot is the fact that, why are there always bars on the windows of homes out here in Mexico? Again, even in a very fancy neighborhood or area like where we are right now, you're going to see most places have bars, have gates, or they have some sort of security. They got electric fences. They got something, or many things in order to keep the house safe. And the reality is because again, how the laws work out here in Mexico, how things are out here in Mexico. Even though in this neighborhood there is a quick reaction time when it comes to calling the police. Let's say you need to call the police for whatever emergency. Well, they'll show up immediately. Besides having police available at a moment's notice. They also have things like private security to add that extra level of security, just in case the police fail to appear in time. But again, it's not even about that. The fact is that you really have to be caught red-handed or really be doing an egregious crime for them to really be able to do something legally. Which again, I know it's not for everybody. There's many people out there that, well, they prefer to have the quote unquote safety that you would have in the USA. In Mexico, you are basically held responsible for your own safety, your own actions, and the safety of your property and your things. And it's not, the responsibility of a government agency or even the police. The police out here are more like public servants. And they're here to, again, help you out, in many of the situations that you would expect the police to help you in. So it's not about the fact that it's not safe out here. No, it's just that most people out here are just held to a different standard, and it's basically your responsibility to be responsible for your things, your safety, your everything. And so with that being said, as Wendy was saying in the interview, these streets are extremely safe. You can see how, we're walking about. There's many people walking about and out and about in the neighborhood, even though this is basically, I think, Monday or Tuesday during the day. And so it's just a regular, normal day, and most people are out to work or at school or what have you. But yet there's still enough movement and action to feel safe. And again, it's a safe neighborhood. So you got the double safety measures for you to rely on and not have to worry about walking through this neighborhood. Now, of course, it's very different when you're walking around at night. And again, most neighborhoods, it's the same thing. Even back in the USA, you could be in a nice neighborhood, upper middle class neighborhood, and you're, taking your walk or you're running or whatever, doing whatever it is you're doing, and it could still be deemed unsafe. There could be somebody hiding behind a tree, especially in certain areas that, well, might not be as well lit as you thought they are.
Ay, aquí huelen diferente.
Pero amor, ¿es la misma flor de mayo o no?
Sí, es la misma flor de mayo, but in here it smells different.
Yeah.
Smells
in
nice.
Hawaii, they grow very big, and that's what they make all the leis out of.
Eso. Yeah, esa misma flor en Hawaii, esa es mucho más grande, yeah.
Sí.
Sí.
They smell the same over there?
Same as the
Or- yeah.
Sí, y blanco también.
Sí, yeah.
And red.
Ah, sí.
Yeah, it was over there in Yucatan. They got red, like really dark red, but they don't smell as good as this. Yeah, yeah.
Muy especial.
Another thing you're going to notice about this city that's very different from Mérida, Yucatan, which is where I normally film my videos and do my thing. Out here in Guadalajara, well, you're going to see a lot more apartments and apartment buildings. As you guys are seeing in the background here, there is a lot of housing. There's big homes, there are small apartments, and everything in between. And so there's something for everyone out here, and you can still live in a fancy neighborhood like this and feel very, very safe and very, prestigious and posh and all that stuff. And obviously an apartment is not going to cost as much as what she's renting right there. So if she's renting what you saw already earlier in the video for around 18,500 pesos, well, you can imagine how inexpensive an apartment could be in this neighborhood compared to that. Also, another thing you're going to notice is the amount of cars out here in this city. There's a lot more cars in this city than you would see in Mérida. There's more traffic. Basically, it's a little bit more of a car culture, just like if you were living in LA or any other major US city in which you do need a car to get around. Now, you don't necessarily need a car if you're going to live here and to get around all the time because, well, there's a lot of mass transit that you can take advantage of, whether it's the buses or the trains or even walking. Again, it's a very, very walkable city. I know for a lot of Americans, walking 30 minutes might seem like a lot, But for someone like me, someone like Wendy, which, well, we go on hikes or we just walk a lot. We like to go on ahead and do some exercise and get some fresh air. Well, for us, it's not that big a deal to walk 30 minutes. So if I wanted, we could walk from her house out here in this area all the way to where I was staying in the Airbnb, and it was basically about 30-40 minutes tops of a walk. And when you're doing that walk in really beautiful, amazing weather in a city such as Guadalajara, in which spring is almost all year round, it's really not that big a deal. It's a nice walk through the neighborhood, a nice walk to get from point A to point B. And again, even if you don't want to do any mass transit, you can take an Uber and it's only a few bucks. It's really not that expensive to take an Uber or a Didi or any other car ride share service that they have out there. So with all that said, the reality is that there are multiple transportation options that you can use, and you do not need a car. The reality is that you most likely would want to have a car or need a car if you are commuting to work every single day, or if you got kids and you might be dropping off the kids at school every day. Even though in Mexico things are a little different when it comes to things like that, where you're going to see kids that walk to school and walk home from school every single day, or they just take the bus, or they're a lot more independent out here, and they're able to not have to rely so much on mommy and daddy to baby them around or take them to school or whatever it is. Even though you do see that, of course you see that. It's the longer you're here, the more you see about Mexico, the more you live out here, the more you're going to realize that it's very similar to the U.S. in many ways, including the fact that, some parents are going to want to drop off their kids and do all that stuff. While out here, again, you have the freedom that if you want to do that, you can do it, or you can also let them be independent and just go out on their own and go play outside. Take the bus, take the train, go hang out at the park. Just do all the stuff that we did when we were growing up without any kind of hesitation or any kind of worry that they're not going to be safe. Another thing you've noticed is that, well, in Merida, we are basically always wearing shorts and a t-shirt, or wearing a lot less clothes than you might be wearing out here. Out here, the weather, since it's so much nicer for people like Christian and her cousin that come from Merida, where it's very, very hot, they were actually pretty cold. Now, as the day went on, this is still early in the morning, as the day went on, obviously, they took off their sweaters and they started to get a little warm as we approached something close to like 91 degrees. But 91 degrees here is very different than 91 degrees in the Yucatan, where I'm from. It feels not as hot here, and the weather definitely a lot cooler and a lot more mild from the experience that we had in the times that we were here. Now, a lot of people tell me that it does get a little, kind of crazy out here where during the rainy season, where it could rain a lot and it can flood. And I think that there could be earthquakes here. I wouldn't see why not. It's in an earthquake zone and we are in the mountains. So for some people, that might be too much. Some people might not, like the fact that there could be an earthquake at any moment, or that there could be torrential rains. And, obviously that will affect your quality of life if that's something that you're not into. But for me, I love rain. I love the fact that obviously it could rain, and it rains very hard out here, just like it would rain in somewhere like the Yucatan, which is a very tropical environment, and we have hard, heavy rains over there. Because when I lived in Seattle, and it was kind of like a similar environment over there, it didn't rain hard at all. It was just always cloudy and always just sprinkling and just raining very lightly, but it was constant. And I myself was not a fan of not having the sun out all day. Or out here, this is why I keep saying that it reminds you of Los Angeles, because anyone that's been out there to Los Angeles, you guys know that the sun is out all day, every day, and it's beautiful weather. And especially if you go down a little further to San Diego and certain areas like that, it's just beautiful, perfect weather every single day. So from my understanding, that's the weather out here, but we only spent a week out here during the first week of April. And, we don't know what it's like here during the summer or during the winter or anything like that yet. we do hope to be planning to visit out here a lot more frequently in the future. Of course, you know, all depending on our financial situation and how quickly we can come out here to visit again. But we really love the city and are looking forward to coming back sooner than later. But again, it's not all rosy and peachy out here. It does have some negatives. One of the negatives that we did realize was the fact that there is pollution out here. And, you know, eventually you'll get used to the pollution, but it might not be for everybody. So one thing, for example, about like LA is that, yeah, it's amazing, but there's a lot of air pollution. And it might not be, you know, something that you will get used to right away. But eventually, if you live there, you will get used to it. And it's not something that, you know, is enough to deter you away from it. Again, I know any kind of pollution is no bueno, but I think at the end of the day, it's a small price to pay to be living in such an amazingly beautiful city such as Guadalajara. Now, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I want to give a big shout out to all my members, all my patrons, every single one of you guys out there that helps contribute to the show in one shape, form, or another. Whether you're watching the videos or you're sharing the videos or you're leaving a comment down below, I really, really, really want to thank every single one of you guys out there in the audience. You guys are the best. And so with all that being said, guys, I think it's time for us to wrap it up. I really didn't get a chance to do a proper ending to this video, so we're just going to end it right here. So with all that being said, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's interview with Wendy, and you enjoyed the little bit of a house tour and the neighborhood tour that we did out here, as I tried to show you what it is to live out here in Guadalajara. Now, of course, perhaps in the future I can do more of these where I can travel to other cities in Mexico and do more videos like this. Wendy was kind enough to reach out to me before I came out here to Guadalajara, and well, she volunteered to help us, guide us around the city, be our tour guide, and we couldn't be any more grateful to her. And we thank her from the bottom of our hearts, you know, for being so helpful and so kind and so amazing while we were here. And again, thanking her for her time, for wanting to do this interview and share with us her story and her experiences of living out here in Guadalajara. Even though she's been here just a few months, I feel that her story could be extremely helpful to a lot of people out there. And unfortunately, she was struck with a little bit of bad luck where she got into an accident. And well, even though she was in an accident where she was bedridden for a while, she was still able to get all the benefits of what an amazing city this is, with all the amazing and beautiful people that were able to help her out. And I know that, you know, this story, just like all the other stories that I share with you guys, could be extremely helpful just by simply sharing with you guys. And so with all that being said, guys, you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon, but more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.